Welcome back to another episode of the I Am Energizer podcast. Today's episode will be the silence and the noise. Throughout my career of 22 years in the entertainment industry, I've noticed two extreme dynamics that typically coexist. Some of it is within and some of it is without. Allow me to explain. The silence and the noise. These two elements, there can be beauty, there can be pleasure, there can be clarity, there can be pain, drama, insecurities, envy, hate, etc. Now, when a lot of people go out, they like to have a chaotic, wild time. When you couple that with liquor, alcohol consumption, or spirits, there seems to be an impairment of memory, an impairment of judgment, and this is associated with fun in some shape, form, or fashion. Now, another dangerous type of person are people who enjoy noise without the consumption of liquor, alcohol, or spirits, because these type of people need that noise in their lives. As a matter of fact, because they enjoy it so much, the silence around them in the event that they ever experience it is actually very loud to them. For example, let's look at a personality like a meddler, a person that always finds themselves in the middle of something, the type of person who was possibly born with a large wooden or metal spoon. And no, it wasn't a sign of prestige or wealth. This was actually a sign that they were a born pot stirrer. That's right. That's all they do is figure out a way to stir the pot. And instead of them operating in a kitchen where their gift would definitely come in handy and benefit others, no, they're a detriment to others. All they do is figure out ways to get in other people's business, comment on social media, saying something to a friend about somebody else, the way how they share false information, the way how they kick up stuff at their job, the way how they do the group text or the group chat, the way how they act with family dynamics and within their siblingship, the way how they go in between their mother and father and they create drama there. In some shape, form, or fashion, these pot stirrers or these meddlers, they love the noise. And in the event that they ever found themselves in a place of peace, in a place of quietness that allowed them to be alone with their thoughts, it would get real loud for them. Now let's just take a quick glimpse at the silence. Within silence, there can be growth. Within silence, there can be beauty. Within silence, there can be security. Within the silence, you can find the stillness to figure out the things around you and recognize the irregularities or the shortcomings or the room for growth. What I learned is within the silence, within the separation is where God does his best work. Okay? God does not like noise and chaos. He can't get his message through. He can't teach. Can't do his work. He needs silence. Any good teacher requires this environment. It's similar to cleanliness being next to godliness. Why would God want to operate in a mess? Now, another side of a coin, a lot of you are silent benefactors from someone else's silence. Throughout my years in the entertainment industry, what I've noticed is that I walked away and have walked away from a lot of situations that were not favorable to me, that I could have spoken up more, or that I could have blown the lid on who a person really is and the type of characteristics in which they possess. And in a lot of instances, I've remained silent. And so a lot of you all take advantage of that. A lot of you all benefit from the silence of others. How does it operate in the family dynamic? You know that one sister or that one brother that really is introverted, and what do? You take advantage of his silence. You know he's not going to tell nobody. You got that friend that sees you do all type of things, and you know they're not going to tell nobody. We do our dirt with that person that you know is not going to tell nobody. So there's so many benefits that a lot of us who are a part of the noise, you benefit off of a person's silence. So one thing about my character is I don't need to drag down anybody else's character in order to prove mine. Throughout the silence, I've been able to actually see who's who. One of the associates or a person that I met that is in the DJ industry, he's an immigrant to the United States. And being on a journey as a DJ, as you go out and you're trying to, make your way into a new country, a new state, new territory, new market, whatever the case may be. And this doesn't just apply to DJs. This could be you as a cook, a chef, an actor, a waitress, bartender, a new salesman, applied to any job market, even down to you just in life. As a kid, for 9 months, I went to stay with my dad in San Diego. Culture shock. I'm in a new market, new territory, new group of people, new demographics. But anytime that you go into any environment that's new to you, that takes you outside of your comfort zone, you are challenged with knowing who's who. The benefit of knowing who's who, you know who to hang around, you know who to talk to, you know who to trust, or you typically have some version of an idea. But when you don't know who's who, that can put you at a disadvantage. Now let's get back to the noise. The noise is typically a distraction from discomfort. Why? Because most of us feel uncomfortable in our thoughts, being alone with our thoughts. Most of us feel uncomfortable with our feelings, our sentiments. Most of us are uncomfortable with the realities that we have to face. So any version of noise that you put out is actually a distraction from the discomfort that you feel throughout your day-to-day. Next, you have the stimulation and the excitement. With noise, some people find the chaos as energizing. They get that adrenaline rush. They get that little feeling on the inside that gets them going, right? It keeps the people talking, and it gives them purpose. You got to watch out for people like that. Creating that sense of drama, urgency, importance, that validation that they need. That adrenaline rush from conflict or the combativeness is the constant activity that someone who does not enjoy any version of peace, any version of silence, any version of reflection. This person who enjoys this level of stimulation and excitement, they're pretty much an addict. It's addictive. If you look at some people's upbringing, they don't even know the difference. Some people grew up with moms or dads or siblings or a family that was just literally chaos. So what do? They perpetuate the same environment that they've been a part of. Some of it is strictly byproduct. Some of it, this is who your spirit is. Some of it is learned behavior through your social construct, like the people who you hang around the most. Some of it is learned behavior. It might have been that friend who you was always at their house. You got peace at your house, but you go and spend the night at their house all the time because you might be the only sibling, or you trying to get away from the silence and the boredom in your house, and you go to their house and it's a bunch of chaos going on. So now you take that on. And then eventually your personality now lines up with that stimulation and that quote unquote excitement that you've been looking for. But it's all negative. It's all noise. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty. A lot of the noise in what I see in certain communities, mostly the color that I'm wearing in my turban and on my shirt and the pigmentation of my skin, in a lot of those communities, the noise is a part of some version of social validation. And I don't understand it, but through my observation over some years, I can explain it to you. In noisy environments, those are the ones who typically get the most attention, whether it be online, whether it be in real life. Being loud, being dramatic, attracting attention is something that a lot of people need. They feel overlooked. They feel displaced. They feel unrecognized. For a lot of people, they equate attention to some version of value and some version of belonging. And I'm here to tell you that's not the case. But social media has perpetuated this more and more. The loudest people on social media seem to get the attention. The loudest people at a party seem to get the attention. And not all attention is good attention. So this is a part of the noise that I've noticed. People who need social validation. Another version of the noise is the cultural conditioning of how our society puts it at noise being a good thing. Oh man, my phone won't stop ringing. Every day I'm hustling. I got this going on. I got that going on. I'm ripping and running. I got errands. I'm busy. That's a version of noise. That's a version of chaos. And throughout it, when you're recognized as a quote unquote a hustler or this version of a doer, and you project that, you're rewarded for that busyness, allegedly, right? It is aligned with productivity, or it can be aligned with extroversion, that being an extrovert, you're being out there, you're putting yourself out there. Oh man, just go put yourself out there, go shake hands, go get out there. That it's the busyness, but a lot of it is just noise. Stillness and quietness is a lot of times associated with laziness or lack of ambition. And in a lot of cases, I could see that. I could see how a person who is still or who is considered quiet or to themselves, they could be viewed as not being productive or not busy, not accomplishing things. But that's not true, because there's a lot of people we don't hear from, and they do it all. They do it all. So everything that you do doesn't have to be out there. You don't have to go and create more noise just for people to recognize you or to show them what you're doing. And in a lot of cases, the more noise you make, the more attention you attract. And a lot of it is unwanted attention. Let a lot of people find out that you making money or you doing something productive or you have a great idea. You know what they go do? They go copy, they go steal, they go tell other people, brings more attention to something that you got going on, which creates more blockages and puts you at a disadvantage. I'm telling you what I know. With some people, the noise is a version of avoidance of vulnerability. All right. The more you keep up the chaos, the loud noise, and you perpetuate this type of energy around you, you can avoid being vulnerable with who? With people around you that can observe who you really are. And more importantly, yourself. That silence can feel exposing. What does it expose you to? In the quiet, we might have to confront some of our own insecurities, some of our own shortcomings, some of our own insignificantness, some of our own lack of value, some of our own drama, and some of our own thoughts that we don't arrange, that we don't address, some of our trauma we might have to address. So for a lot of us, the quote unquote noise can be a shield. And in two parts of that, the silence can be protection. But in this aspect with the avoidance of vulnerability, yeah, the noise is a shield. You're trying to figure out a way to create this noise boundary that keeps all this drama around you so you don't have to be confronted with who you really are, or so that people can't see. This is a version of a mask. Now, in some cases, a lot of us feel a version of insignificance or the fear of insignificance. What happens when you grow up in your household, in school, in a lot of these environments? You don't want to be the person who's viewed as unimportant, the person who's quiet, who is looked over, who's not loud, who doesn't speak up, who's often forgettable, who doesn't get selected for the group projects, who's not deemed as cool. These people, to us, we think that they're insignificant. We equate their value with some version of quote unquote presence, and their silence is a lack thereof. So this fear of insignificance is a huge cultural thing that I believe we pick up at a young age. And when we pick that up at a young age, what we then learn to do is we learn to overcompensate with some version of some version of chaos, some version of noise to make us feel like we're a part of something bigger. And that sense of belonging and that being a part of something bigger is where we find our value, and we find that sense of we matter to ourselves, and then we think we matter to others. That silence can make you think that you fade in the background. That silence can make you think that you ain't worth nothing. So through the fear of insignificance, you choose to create the noise. In the silence, we can hear our thoughts, we can hear our feelings. It provides us a space of reflection. It provides us with a level of creativity. It can also provide the platform for problem solving. Clarity and insight should be something that we all strive for. If you want to become a better version of you, it's going to start with the mind. It's going to start with your choices. And what better way to make choices than in the environment of clarity and insight? Better choices, better decisions, better consequences, better byproducts, better end results. Now you're growing. Now you're thriving. Emotional regulation. For a lot of us, those quiet moments help us process emotions, feelings that we didn't know we had. For people who are stressors and worry a lot, you need that silence to reduce that stress. You need that silence to reduce that anxiety. Some of the meddlers who I talked about earlier, some of them get anxiety from silence because they don't know how to operate in it. So what you think is anxiety is actually you coming off of that addictive rushing feeling that you get because you're outside of your comfort zone, which is chaos. So when you are silent, you can reduce that stress. You can reduce that anxiety, and finding that calm, that silence can put you in a position to have a deeper sense of emotional regulation and a healing that comes about. Let's think of the noise as being a cut. What do you need? You would need the opposite. You would need the silence to provide you with the platform to heal that cut. You need the proper conditions and environment so that cut can heal up and close up. And that's where the emotional regulation comes in with silence. With silence, you get a deeper connection. Let's think of it in the phone context. If you take a call, would you rather have that call that says something very important? It could be someone communicating the lottery numbers to you and you got the feeling you go win. It could be someone communicating a family emergency. It could be someone communicating some financial information. It could be someone telling you some important news. A variable amount of inputs that can come your direction. Would you rather hear those things in a noisy environment or in a silent, quiet environment? What do we search for when we do find out that we're getting some information that is some serious information? We go and search for a quieter environment. So that deeper connection is what you're looking for. When we listen more fully, we do it in a silent environment. We can listen to ourselves. Sometimes it's our thoughts. Sometimes you need that silence to have that deeper connection with you. Sometimes you need that silence, like what I said a few seconds ago, to connect with others. It could be you and your spouse, you and your significant other, you and a family member, you and a child. You need to have that silent moment to have that deeper connection. This establishes the platform for you guys to weed out anything else, noise, that can come in and that can violate that ability for that connection to be in sync, to be fully connected, to put you in a position to do better, be better, grow. The world provides a ton of chaos. And in a world with so much noise, you can have a deeper connection with your world in silence. Let's say it's an escape. Let's say it's a getaway. Some of you guys use it with noise canceling headphones. Some of you guys do it by going off on a beach getaway and you leave your phone off. You sit with the beach. You go in a forest. You go hike up a mountain. You go on walks just in your neighborhood. This is a different way for you to connect with the world. This is a different way that you can pick up on the things in the environment around you. Now you see squirrels. Now you see hummingbirds. Oh, you didn't even know this part of the country had light bugs. You hear the wind in a particular way. And that deeper connection that will allow you to get certain empathy that you might lack or that you're looking for. It might allow you to get a particular level of understanding. And then that deeper connection now segues into the spiritual growth. Many of our spiritual traditions and journeys and things that we go through on the spiritual path, we're looking for wisdom. We're looking for enlightenment. We're looking for what? Connection with something bigger, something greater, right? The higher power. Some of us, all of us, need that silence so that we can pick up on our guides. Some of you call them angels. Some of you call them ancestors, okay? Some of you all, God talked to you himself, right? You might have that quote unquote spiritual energy or presence, or you made that connection. And how do you hear in that? Through the silence. So some of us have a certain level of spiritual growth that comes in. When I was going through a particular level of chaos and noise, through the silence that I provided myself, it provided that spiritual, deeper communication. Hey, don't say nothing. Okay. Roger that. So deeper connection, spiritual growth, those are two things that can be synonymous. You go through one deeper connection, it can land you at the other one when you are going and aiming to start that journey or while you're on that journey. Presence. Silence brings us a particular level of presence in the moment. A lot of us make so much noise, so much yelling, you don't get to take in what transpired. You can't hear what's going on around you. You can't hear the announcement that was said. You can't fully process the experience that you're having. So in a lot of cases, the silence brings about a particular level of presence. That constant chatter and noise, it can bring about a certain level of regret in the moment when you don't get a chance to bask and take it all in. Think about being at a graduation and hearing someone's name called and it's all this noise going on. Or think about being at that important speech. Think about you being at a wedding and someone is honoring you or telling you thank you, or they're doing a toast to you because you've done so great at your job throughout all these years and they just want to commend you, but it's all this chatter and this noise around you. You'll never get a chance to take in what's going on, being present in that moment. And last but not least, I would say rest and renewal. Rest and renewal, having a silent mind, a quiet spirit, quiet thoughts, having that for your mind and your body, a quiet environment, it allows you to recharge. It allows you to be a better version of you. Having that silence allows you to restore a lot of things that noise took away from you. Okay. So for me, in a deeper connection in my rest and renewal, it allows me to get up and just be the better energy that I can be. As a father, it allows me to get up and be a better example to children who look up to me and the example that I set. As a spouse, it allows me to be the better version of me that can hone in and listen, that can be empathetic, that can pick up on certain energy. It allows me to be present and to be able to observe the energy around me or my counterpart's energy and correct them if they need correcting or guide them if they need the guidance. That silence allows me to call myself out on my own BS. If I misspeak, if I'm doing something that's out of character, if there's an apology that I owe, if there's an opportunity for growth amongst us, that silence allows me to do that. But through a rested mind and a unstressed energy, guess what? It allows you to see and pick up on these things. The noise and the chaos, I get it. It can be seductive. It can be advantageous for a lot of you all's energies. For me, it's not. The silence is where meaning, peace, purpose, true connection, that's where a lot of those things are found. The silence is where growth comes in. The silence is where you're able to be guided. The silence is where you can find God. The challenge that a lot of us face is learning how to be comfortable in both. Some people can't deal with the noise. A lot of us thrive in it. And in a positive way, we can. We see the chaos and the stuff around us. We're so used to it. We're numb to it that we're able to just keep it moving, keep it going. Some of us, I have a friend, and this is what he does. He perpetuates the chaos around him because he thrives in it. So while everybody's off balance, he is at his highest of energy. But at what cost? Because it creates the chaos of the mind, and he doesn't have the peace to be able to navigate through the things that he needs to do. So he always has noise around him. Knowing how to operate within the comfort of both, knowing how to operate and grow and call out both and utilize them for the utility of what they are in our lives, because they both serve a particular purpose. That's where the gem comes in for who you are and where your growth comes in. Knowing how to utilize those two is where it'll serve you best. That concludes our episode of The Silence and the Noise. I wish you well in your human experience on trying to navigate through the silence and the noise. And I would hope that you are more in tune with the silence and less of a perpetuator of the noise. And we'll close it with a prayer. Heads are bowed, eyes are closed. Dear God, thank you for this day. Through your creation, I know for a fact there was a particular level of silence and rest and rejuvenation and connection you had with your inner creator. For those who have made it through the end of this episode, I wish them the ability to recognize where in their life they can go and where they can find that silence within them so that they can grow and be a better version of them. For those who are a part of the noise, I hope for them they can recognize that they are the noise. And with that recognition, hopefully they can recognize that they can correct being that version of the noise. Throughout this episode, I hope that there was some version of clarity on how the noise and the silence can be both beneficial and detrimental throughout our lives. And in conclusion of this prayer, God, provide the discernment to those who seek it, who want to become a better version of themselves and need assistance with the silence and the noise. That concludes this episode. Amen.